Now they're saying it's not a list. Which is it? Listen to what they say inside the cabinet yesterday and let me know what you think. Now they're saying there's no list. Now they're saying that all it was some bad videos of the Epstein guy. I'm gonna just leave it like that. And that's it. Don't talk about it no more. Listen to what they say inside of the Oval Office yesterday.
And released yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the staff?
Yeah, sure. If
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this?
Bro, you said that you was going to show us the files. Now, you know, I back up a lot of things, you know, Trump say, but at the same time, if I will go against some of the things that he said. You said you was going to show us the files. You said that, right? You said, he said that he was going to show us the files. Now, all of a sudden, people are asking about the files. The lady right there, Bondi, she told us that the Epstein files were on her desk. What y'all say? Let me know in the comment section what you think about that. She told us that the Epstein files were on her desk. Did she not? She told us that, right? And she said that she was going to show us. They was going to release it. Well, what do you think that people going to do? Okay, it's been months now. Why you haven't showed us the files? Why you haven't showed us the files? Who are you protecting? Are you protecting yourself? Or are you protecting the powers that be? Who are you protecting, bro? Listen to what else they say. Let me continue with this video.
This guy, this creep, that is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands.
No. You specifically told us the Epstein files were on your desk. Don't try to bundle it all up together. You see how they try to wordplay? They try to bundle it all up together. You specifically told us that the Epstein files were on your desk. Specifically said that. Now, y'all trying to say that it does not exist. Who are you protecting? Who are you protecting at this time? Y'all hit the like button. Let me know what you think inside of the comment section. Who are you protecting at this time? Let's keep it going.
Thousands of video. They turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from...
Look how Trump looking. Look exactly how he's looking. Just look. Exactly how he's looking. All eyes on her. And guess what she's going to do? It's already been talked about and already been discussed. We are not showing nobody anything. She's finna just close it out right here. Look, we're not going to show y'all the disgusting things that is on those videos. There is no list. I was talking about something else. Just straight wordplay. And now guess what? The case is closed. See, man, that's what I be talking about. These people be protecting each other and they be protecting other people. Ain't no telling who all on that list, bro. Ain't no telling who all on that list. So they done finally seen the full list. Now they don't want to release it. It's crazy work.
From the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
All right, right now, let's shift gears just a little bit here on.
Now, they showed the little clip of the video. All they showed was him walking to the cell. That wasn't even 15 seconds. And they said that that clip of him walking to his cell was 7 hours before they found him. All of a sudden, there's clips of the video missing. They talking about a minute. Now, why would they clip that video? That's what we got to think about. There's a lot of things that they're not saying about Epstein. They're hiding a lot. Who are they protecting? Y'all let me know in the comment section. What do you think about this? What do you think about, first they told us there is a list, and Donald Trump said himself that he's going to release the list. The client list. Y'all all know what Epstein was doing on that island. I don't have to really say it. You already know. So why all of a sudden he becomes the president and now you don't want to release that list at all? Now all of a sudden it don't even exist. And the lady trying to cover up her tracks on what she said. She told us that it was on her desk. Y'all can agree with that. She told us that the list was on her desk. And as soon as she go through it, she's going to release it. They still haven't released the JFK files or the Martin Luther King files. Man, what's really going on? Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all really think about that. We on his neck, bro. We on his neck. Don't get me wrong. I roll with Trump on a lot of things, but I'm not the type of person that's gonna roll with him on everything he say. I'm not MAGA. You can't tell me anything, bro. Who are you protecting? That's who we want to know. That's what we want to know. It's crazy work, guys. It's crazy work. Okay, appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one only Stock Sniper. Let's get back to business. See what's going on.
Brad, Fox 7 Austin News.
And we are compiling a list of resources for those who want to help out and those who need help. You can find all of that at fox7austin.com.
The numbers are just astounding. More than 110 people are known to have died across Central Texas in the 4th of July weekend floods. Most of those deaths were in Kerr County, where at least 87 people have died, 30 of those children. Governor Abbott gave another devastating update yesterday, saying 172 people are still missing, and that is just in Kerr County. 5 girls and a camp counselor from Camp Mystic are among the missing. The state also says crews were able to rescue more than 850 people.
All right.
All right, thank you to all our Fox
Now
affiliates as we do continue to cover this. And we are hearing from Fox News, a third-generation Camp Mystic mom who spent 15 years of her summers at that camp tells Mike Tobin, our Fox reporter, the recent flooding responsible for the deaths of more than 100 people has really hit home for her. She says it was because that was her home, and for so many others, that was their home there as well. And she says the amount of devastation is just incredible. It's still so hard to wrap your head around when you think about it. So we continue to hear these stories from people impacted. And once again, if you are just tuning in, we are going to be hearing from the Carroll County Sheriff. That's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll bring you that update when it does happen. We're going to go away for another break here. We do have a live event that has begun. We do want to take you out to it in just 2 short minutes.
Really
Don't go anywhere.
Leads to the Netzarim corridor, once called the lifeline for Gaza's hungry, and for many it has become a one-way path.
Golly.
Watching Al Jazeera, reminder for our top stories this hour. At least 7 Palestinians have been shot and killed near aid distribution centers in Rafah. More than 770 Palestinians have now been killed by Israeli forces and American security contractors at the notorious Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces have brought in mobile housing units in Hebron that activists say could be used by Israeli settlers. Several trucks escorted by the Israeli military placed the units in an area known as H1, which is governed by the Palestinian Authority. More than 160 people are missing after devastating flash floods swept through central Texas last week. Over 100 people died in the deadliest flood triggered by heavy rain in the United States in nearly 50 years. Questions are being raised about whether officials did enough to protect residents and
this morning. Y'all have to forgive me this morning.
John Henry reports from the city of Ingram.
I'm not ready to rock and roll.
Children's voices cry out in the dark as the floodwaters of the Guadalupe River sweep past. The search for the people behind those cries goes on. From the air and on the water, with hope of finding new survivors dwindling 5 days later.
It's extremely treacherous, time-consuming, it's dirty work, the water's still there, so we're having to go layer by layer, peeling these off.
Hold on, guys, I'm behind right now.
As the families of more than 24 girls and counselors lost at Camp Mystic unite in song, the cleanup from a 4th of July wall of water that ravaged anything in its path begins.
The floodwaters were so powerful, they stripped the bark off of this tree, blew guardrails off of that bridge, and sent people kilometers down the river. And that's why survivors have been so hard to find, as have been the bodies of those who didn't survive.
Each day, the death toll continues.
I appreciate y'all for joining me, guys.
I need to tell my community.
I just now got
those families who are waiting.
Comments. Appreciate everybody for joining me.
This will be a rough week.
Ingram City Councilman Raymond Howard says he will now push for early warning alarms along the river. An option local officials had previously considered in the region known as Flash Flood Alley and rejected.
I think he's one of the people who's
38 years or so since the last one. But 10 people
appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm your host, the one on the Stock Sniper. Y'all hold on a second. I gotta go get my
right now.
My charger. Please forgive me for being
gotta do something
not prepared this morning. I apologize
from ever happening again.
I'm not prepared at all.
I am definitely.
Now he's got the backing of top Texas lawmakers.
We need sirens, and if the state has to pay for them, we'll pay for them.
As the politicians of Texas draw lessons in the wreckage, the search for survivors and the lost goes on. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Ingram, Texas.
In neighboring New Mexico, at least 3 people are missing after heavy rains triggered flash floods.
Oh my gosh.
An entire house was swept downstream in this mountain village. Emergency crews have carried out at least 85 rescue operations after residents became trapped in their homes and cars. No injuries or deaths have been reported, but officials say the full extent of the destruction won't be known until the water recedes. In France, a wildfire that's reached the outskirts of its second largest city, Marseille, is under control but still burning. Emergency crews, including dozens of firefighters and police officers, are battling the flames that have injured more than 100 people. Hundreds of people were evacuated from their homes, roads remain closed, and flights and train services halted. Officials say they believe one wildfire was started when a car caught fire and strong winds fanned the flames. Greece is also experiencing extreme heat, and it's hurting its economy. Heat waves have forced the temporary closure of tourist hotspots, and farmers are also suffering losses. John Zaropoulos reports from Megara.
People who had travelled from across the world to visit the Acropolis in Athens were locked out this week.
I just took a cab up here, and yeah, it's closed till from 1 to 5 because of the heat wave. I think they should let people in regardless, you know what I mean? They got water.
You think they should let people in at their own risk?
Yes, and I think that's part of the experience, right? The Greeks experienced it back then, so why not have us?
But in the past, Greeks didn't experience it this way. Climate change has raised average temperatures in the Mediterranean by 1.5 degrees Celsius already, compared to pre-industrial levels. Tourism here has yet to suffer, but deeper inside Greece, climate change is taking a toll on the economy. This field, an hour south of Athens, is planted with parsley, a small crop that draws little water.
We water at night using pressure valves that produce a mist to minimize waste and to allow the moisture to stay in the earth as long as possible.
Those valves cost money, as does pumping water from a depth of 240 meters, 100 meters more than when Vordos was growing up in these fields, because the water table has fallen. And there are other climate-related costs.
Our work is outdoors. People can't work in 40-degree heat. We have them work in the morning and evening. That reduces their productivity by about half and raises costs.
As a result of these economic pressures, 2/3 of the land in Megara has been abandoned. The owner of this grove of pistachio trees has moved to Athens. It's now kept alive by a local farmer. According to a study by the Bank of Greece, by the end of this century, 40% of the country will be unsuitable for agriculture. And there will be about another 50 days of heat waves each year. Farming is being hard hit now, but with temperatures projected to rise by up to another 5 degrees Celsius this century, everything is bound to suffer. John Zaropoulos, Al Jazeera, Megara.
From floods to wildfires in every country on every continent, the climate emergency is taking hold. The World Economic Forum estimates damage from climate change will cost the global economy $38 trillion a year by the year 2050. Researchers say for every 1 degree Celsius of warming, the global economy could lose up to 12% of its GDP. Those living in developing countries are being hardest hit. The UN says extreme weather events are pushing 26 million people into poverty every year. It estimates that achieving climate action in 48 developing economies will cost nearly $5.5 trillion a year between now and 2030. That's equivalent to 18% of their collective GDP. Let's speak now to Luke Haywood. He's the head of climate and energy at the European Environmental Bureau. He joins us from Potsdam in Germany. Thank you for your time. 2 studies recently on the latest heat waves in Europe have come to the conclusion that climate change has pushed up temperatures in June by between 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. And this has caused the number of deaths to increase by 3 times, deaths that could have been prevented. So that's about 2,000 people, they estimate, whose deaths that could have been prevented. How concerning are studies like this to policymakers like yourself?
Thank you very much. This is a very serious study which was done by the World Weather Attribution project, the Grantham Institute at Imperial College London. So this should be taken very seriously. It's not a complete surprise that Europe is quite heavily affected. Europe is the fastest warming continent now. We have around the double of world average global warming, and because some of these weather phenomena are related to regional weather patterns, it's not a surprise. I think there has been a focus, as you mentioned, on regions in the world where people are more vulnerable to increasing temperatures, but actually Europe is a continent that is strongly affected. And yes, it should, we hope, influence policymakers to get serious on mitigation.
In fact,
reducing emissions.
Studies like these are actually showing now a tangible connection between climate change and the number of people who have lost their lives because of that. I mean, how crucial is that for climate change to be taken more seriously?
Well, unfortunately, we've let the emissions grow so far that it's inevitable that there is this terrible loss of life. Last year was the year with the highest amount of emissions, so new CO2 put into the atmosphere, despite the fact that we've known about the issues for many decades. So we hope it does focus the minds of policymakers, but of course, there is also a trade-off that resources must also be put into adaptation, and although there are some solutions that help both adaptation and reducing emissions, there is also a need, obviously, to adapt to increasing temperatures now quickly. And so the urgency is not necessarily something that focuses minds on long-term decarbonization.
So what could be done to mitigate extreme heat in Europe? Perhaps there could be more early warning systems like they have in the United States.
So, yes, we are not a humanitarian organization dealing with the immediate possibilities to adapt. It's very important as a collective organization as the EU that we build on the plans that we have, that we use the technologies that we know that work in order to reduce emissions fast now. As I said, it seems absurd that we are still blasting so much CO2 into the atmosphere. That should be the focus of our attention at the same time as adapting to the inevitable global warming that's being produced by the emissions already in the atmosphere. But the EU does have a plan, only it's being attacked from various sides in the political arena.
Well, video ain't playing,
need
guys.
to remain firm in our ambition to reduce emissions.
What about the huge economic costs? We outlined some of the costs of tourist sites being shut across Europe.
Video is not
the
playing.
impact, of course, on tourism and such. How big a concern is that for policymakers and European leaders?
It's a very good point.
Trying to get above
and it's been
164.
known for a very long time, not least since Nicholas Stern's report, that the costs of inaction are much, much greater than the costs of climate action. However, we have to see that this is not a rational economic calculus. There are some very serious fossil fuel producing interests here who are making an awful lot of money out of the current system. We have, of the last 50 years, seen profits from fossil fuel companies of more than $2 billion per day. In the last year alone, the 5 major oil-producing companies made $104 billion in profits. So there are some very serious interests in continuing business as usual, and we need to find a collective way to get out of this and use the solutions we know that work: energy efficiency, renewables. We have to build better grids for that. We have to electrify end uses. to electrify industry. We know these solutions work. They work today. We needn't wait to deploy them.
Okay, thank you for your time. Luke Haywood, Head of Climate and Energy at the European Environmental Bureau, speaking to us from Potsdam in Germany.
Thank you.
The migrants' crisis in the English Channel is on the agenda of a meeting between the leaders of Britain and France. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte were received by the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his wife Victoria at Downing Street. Britain wants France to do more to stop migrants crossing into the UK by small boats from French shores. Let's go live to Milena Veselinovic, who is outside 10 Downing Street. Milena, so away from all the pageantry and the flag waving and such, what is the underlying purpose of Macron's trip?
Well, the substance of this state visit is unfolding right now with Emmanuel Macron talking to Keir Starmer
nice
about
run up on the stock market
migration.
today,
Now, the issue of migration has become hugely toxic here in the UK. Politically,
Especially on
it is
Nvidia and
consistently
Bitcoin.
quoted in polls by voters as the most important issue for them, and it's specifically that cross-channel migration with small boats departing French beaches, going through a hugely dangerous journey across the English Channel, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, and ending up in the UK. Now, Keir Starmer, as part of his election pledge, committed to, as he put it, dismantle the smuggling gangs behind these crossings. But if anything, the number of people coming has surged. For example, right now, it's nearly 50% up on the same time last year. So he will be trying to get some commitments from Emmanuel Macron that French police will do more to stop these boats from departing. Now, the UK already pays something like the equivalent of hundreds of millions of dollars to bolster and beef up those French patrols on their beaches in northern France, but clearly it's not working. There are some rumours of a potential so-called one-in, one-out deal by which the UK will send people, certain people who have crossed over from France, back to France, and in exchange receive those who are in France but have, say, a family connection in the UK. That deal, however, is far from certain, not least because there is a number of European nations who oppose it, such as the countries that are the first port of entry for people coming into Europe, because in theory, France could just send those people back to them.
Many thanks for that update, Milena Veselinovic, outside 10 Downing Street for us. Okay, I want to bring you some breaking news that is coming to us from northern Gaza. We're just looking at pictures there of attacks by Israeli forces that have been carried out in the last half an hour or so. These are intense airstrikes on various neighborhoods and homes in northern Gaza. So as I said, these are the latest images that are coming through to us. You can see those huge plumes of smoke rising
still hitting Gaza hard, bro.
The east of Gaza City, I believe. So this is heading towards northern Gaza. Let's go to Hani Mahmoud. He is live in Gaza City for us. Hani, what more can you tell us? We can see some of those pictures. Where exactly are these attacks and what is happening?
Well, it's been 15 minutes so far, and this dark cloud of smoke is still filling the area in the eastern part of Gaza City. Particularly, we're looking at Jaffa Street and the surrounding area. That's in the northern eastern part of the Gaza City, densely populated area. Many of the people who were pushed into enforced displacement have been taking their residential homes in that area, the schools, the remaining public facilities as shelter for them. The attack happened in the past 15 minutes. We were still at this area, just putting our equipment away when we heard multiple explosions, loud ones. We had to duck down because it was so massive and take a shelter in this area. And soon enough, we could feel for about half a minute. I wouldn't be surprised. He probably is. The building was shaking, just giving us the impression that what was used in this attack, where it was carried out by dropping those quake bombs that are shaking not just the area or the buildings in that area, but we could actually look how that place looked, bro. We felt the buildings for about half a minute was shaking forth and back until it's.
Look how Gaza looks, bro. It's crazy. Just tearing up that whole area. Listen to what else he got to say.
The area from here, it's a large area. The entire street, Jaffa Street, was under the attack of these multiple airstrikes. Until further information is available, we're following closely what's happening, but it already caused a state of panic. Many of the people who were already displaced are now seeking shelters elsewhere. Many of the people who were caught in the middle of this are reported with various injuries, and we could hear multiple ambulance vehicles were dispatched from the area. We are very close to Shifa Hospital. Just a street separates us from the facility. We're dispatched to the area, and almost at the same time, simultaneously, another attack happened in the western part of the Gaza Strip, carried out by the drone strike. All of this in 5 minutes. Just it changed the whole situations here from relatively quiet into boom, it's very chaotic now, and people are scrambling for shelter in that part of the Gaza Strip.
And Hani, am I right in thinking
there are no files now.
Strikes like this, of this intensity,
it's over with.
For some time now
That's
by
what the lady said.
The Israeli military in Gaza, particularly northern Gaza? I mean, looking at these images,
there were
as
no
you
files.
say,
all there were
the intensity
was
the amount of smoke that we're seeing rising
into
the sky.
Video.
There, as you say, we are still waiting for more information on the damage caused. But
after
am I right in thinking we haven't seen something this intense in some time?
After they told us that there were files, she said the files were on her desk. She told us that, if y'all can remember. She told us that there were files, that the files were on her desk. That's what she said. I remember clearly. That's exactly what that woman said. Trump said it too, that the Epstein files, he will release the Epstein files. Now, all of a sudden, there's no files.
And the purpose it's done so to prevent movement and impede movement on the area that are targeted. Just about a month or a little over a month, we've seen an example of this happening at the Gaza European Hospital, where many of these quake bombs were dropped on the hospital, piercing through to the ground and killing many of the people, whether on the surface or under the surface of the hospital.
Areas,
again, in Rafah City, we've seen that happening, and it seems always calculated by the Israeli military. These attacks are they happen when they are after something not particularly clear now what it is. We're waiting for more information on this, but it does seem to happen in a way to inflict the larger damage and create much of the devastation and destruction, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Already we heard from someone from the area who had to run and report on many of the people who just moved within the past few days into that area, sheltering in the remaining buildings, are searching now for a different shelter toward the center part of Gaza City.
Okay, Hani, thank you for now. Hani, will stay across that breaking news coming from northern Gaza, where we've seen Israeli forces carry out intense airstrikes on neighborhoods and homes in towards the east of Gaza City. You can see
Energy and Natural Resources Committee.
We'll keep across that for you. To other news now. South Sudan says 8 men deported from the United States are now in its custody. The men from from Cuba, Laos, Mexico, Myanmar, Vietnam
US
and South Sudan arrived
deportation.
on Friday after they lost a legal battle to halt their transfer to the war-torn country. The transfer got the final okay from the US Supreme Court. Their removal from the United States came about after the Trump administration said that the men had been convicted of violent crimes. UN experts warn the US Supreme Court ruling could put migrants at risk of torture or death. They say it violates international law, which bans sending people to places where their lives or safety could be in danger. Experts state diplomatic assurances can't be taken at face value. Each case needs a full assessment. They're urging Washington to refrain from any further removals to third countries, ensure migrants have access to legal assistance and guarantee independent judicial oversight.
Places that are not humane.
Okay, we're up to date for this News Hour. I'm Marlene Saeed.
A lot of people are breaking the laws, guys.
Much more of the day's news. In the meantime, you can check out our website, aljazeera.com. Do stay with us.
They're not supposed to be sending people to places that's unhumane. That is against international law. A lot of these guys are corrupt, bro. A lot of these leaders are breaking the law and getting away with it. Some of these guys have international warrants and are not being picked up. It's crazy work. Let me switch it over here, guys.
Out of my company's many accomplishments to build over $2.5 billion of landmark real estate developments. I recognize the significance of environmental management's mission. The responsibility of addressing the legacies of the Manhattan Project and Cold War nuclear weapons development is enormous. Living only 16 miles south of Rocky Flats in Golden, Colorado, I understand the impact these sites have on a community. Safe, efficient, and effective cleanup is critical. Rocky Flats, however, demonstrates what the environmental management program can achieve to safely and successfully accomplish its cleanup mission. The Manhattan Project's rapid development helped end World War II, and subsequent nuclear research contributed to preventing further use of nuclear weapons. It is now our duty to address legacy waste and ensure a safe, secure, and clean environment for all Americans. I appreciate the program is also focused on new missions, including President Trump's and Secretary Wright's goal of creating space for the golden era of American energy. My strengths are being a strong leader, building cohesive teams, and achieving complex goals. If confirmed, I would bring to environmental management strategic focus planning for the entire environmental mission to ensure the most pressing risks receive maximum attention, decisive decision-making, and disciplined project management to ensure accountability and results are achieved. Finally, I will bring my collaborative spirit and approach to work with all stakeholders, including Congress, local communities, and the tribal nations. I'm honored for this opportunity, and if confirmed, I would be grateful for the opportunity to lead the environmental management team to drive down environmental risks and enable U.S. jobs, U.S. security, and U.S. energy.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Robertson.
That's the big news.
Chairman Lee, Ranking Member Heinrich, and distinguished members of the Senate Energy and Natural Resource Committee. I am honored to appear before you as President Trump's nominee to be the next Assistant Secretary of Energy for Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. First, I would like to thank President Trump for his steadfast leadership during this pivotal time in America and for the trust and confidence placed in me with his nomination. This office plays a critical role in the Department of Energy and the tools we will develop as a nation to meet today and tomorrow's energy demands. President Trump's nomination deeply humbles me, and if I have the honor of being confirmed, serving our country and leading this office will be the greatest honor of my life. I first want to thank my parents, Dr. Scott and Dr. Karen Robertson, and my brother Andrew Robertson, for being here today and always believing in me. I also want to thank my incredible fiance, retired Green Beret Silver Star recipient, Nathan Bulow, as well as some of my closest friends and partners who are here from all over the country. And lastly, I want to thank my sons, William and Wyatt. Only William can be here today. Wyatt is backpacking through the Great Rocky Mountains and has no idea this hearing's taking place. He'll have to watch it later. But I have lived a life that's only possible in the United States of America. I grew up in Arizona. I went on to earn a Bachelor of Science in Applied Economics from Cornell University, followed by a master's degree in accounting from the University of Southern California.
8 people have been shot and killed. A large number of casualties have been taken to the Nasser hospital after an attack near a site operated by GHF in Rafah. Hundreds of starving Palestinians are being forced to move south in search of aid after the only remaining GHF food distribution center was closed in the central part of the
aid
Strip.
sites, guys.
The group says it was shut down for maintenance work. That closure comes as the Israeli government reveals plans to forcibly transfer the entire population of Gaza to the south. Now, under the proposal, up to 600,000 Palestinians would be moved into a concentration zone in Rafah. Once inside, they wouldn't be allowed to leave. Let's go to Hani Mahmoud, who is live in Gaza City. So, Hani, I mentioned a series of Israeli intense strikes that have taken place not far from where you are in the last 15 minutes or so. What more are you learning about what's happened?
One more airstrikes at the same location. Again, we could see the rising dark cloud of smoke from the same exact area. Now, so far, this is what's available for us right now. The Civil Defense Department said close to 20 bombs were dropped on that particular area. That's Yafa Street and the surrounding area, more of the northern eastern part of Gaza City, adjacent to a Tufah neighborhood, where at least a whole entire residential neighborhood came under this heavy bombardment by these quake bombs when the attack happened. We're talking about 5 minutes of ongoing explosions that's forced us here to duck down, just given how intense the explosions were. Followed that the waves of shocks that shook the buildings that we are staying in for about half a minute, followed by again the heavy, dense presence of the drones in the area and surrounding the area where the bombing happened. Now, Civil Defense Department reported they are unable to reach the bomb site. They are 2 streets away. Just given the ongoing attacks now, there are quadcopters that have been deployed by the Israeli military in what seemed to be an attempt to prevent civil defense crew members, paramedics from getting to the areas and possibly save lives here, save those who were caught in this bombing. We're talking about an area that is densely populated with many of the people, the local residents, the displaced peoples in that area. Particularly at this time of the day, it tends to be quite busy. People try to go out to the streets, run away from the heat of the tents, pick up whatever food they find available in the streets or from the street vendors, and go back to their tents. Paramedics and civil defense group, one more time, they're unable to get to that area because it's still active. The airstrikes and the attacks are still happening. There is a dense presence of the quadcopters and the drones hovering in the area, impeding the work of the civil defense crew members. We're waiting for an official statement to explain what happened exactly there. What was the nature of this attack? Why did it happen? We're talking about close to 20 bombs that were dropped there. That's based on the assessment of the Civil Defense Department.
An extremely intense attack from what we are hearing, Hani, and I wonder if we could make a link to the news that we got earlier today that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation site in Gaza City.
Cruz talking. Let's see what he's talking about real quick, guys. And I'll put it back, go back over there.
There's one cabin, the cabin where the youngest
see what Cruz talking about.
Were in, called Bumble Inn. The water blew out the windows in that cabin and swept all of the girls and the counselors out. Every girl in that cabin is either confirmed dead or missing. Outside that cabin are 17 single white crosses with the names of the girls written on it. The 17th cross, the name written on it is Dick Eastland, who for 50 years had been the camp director at Camp Mystic. And Dick likewise lost his life in those early morning hours in his Suburban, driving through high water trying to rescue his girls. Texas, our heart is broken. And we saw extraordinary courage. We saw search and rescue. We saw heroes. I met with a young Coast Guardsman on Monday who's credited with 165 rescues. He landed at Camp Mystic. They put him on the ground in a very difficult helicopter landing. And he was at a field at the highest point on the campground, helping rescue little girls. For 3.5 hours, they helicoptered out 165 girls, about 15 per helicopter. And he sat there and held their hands and stayed on the ground with them. This guy, I know a lot of my colleagues have gotten to meet Coast Guard swimmers who I have analogized. They're kind of like Navy SEALs and California surfers mixed together. Like this young man, he described himself in the press. He said, "I'm just a dude," which is something a Coast Guard swimmer would say. But they're completely fearless. And when I saw him, he had just hung up the phone from talking with a mom and dad and with their daughter, and they were crying. They said, "You saved our daughter's life." And when she was there, terrified out of her mind, you held her hand and told her to be okay. So the weather can have enormous consequences. Our thoughts today are also with the people of Ruidoso, New Mexico, who faced flash flooding just yesterday evening. The power of a flash flood, the power of a tornado, the power of a hurricane, the power of a wildfire to devastate and destroy. Flying in a Coast Guard helicopter up the Guadalupe River, it was astonishing the devastation that water can produce. Cars were flung around like matchbox cars. And you know, when a car hits a tree, the car loses. The car crumples. But I'll tell you, when water hits trees, the trees lose. And all up and down the Guadalupe River, you saw thousands of trees just run over like a bulldozer had knocked them down. That was the force of the 30-foot wall of water that just everything in its path obliterated. Now, when tragedy strikes, we ask ourselves, what could have been done differently? And that's a question that we need to ask. In any crisis, there's an order that things play out. Stage number one is search and rescue, and that's got to be the first priority, saving lives, getting lives out of harm's way. Stage number two is recovery and rebuilding, and that's a process that takes months or even years as you go to the homes that are destroyed, you go to the buildings that are destroyed, and you look to rebuild. And we'll do that. Texas will rebuild. We're strong. But there's also a process of engaging in a retrospective and saying, what is the exact timeline of what transpired, and what could we have done better? Look, every one of us looking at the flooding in Texas, if we could step into a time machine and go back to 2 or 3 in the morning on July 4th, we would rush into those little girls' cabins and get them the hell out of there. And so one question, Dr. Jacobs, you and I had a very good conversation in my office yesterday. I want to thank each of the nominees here for your expertise. But one question we will certainly be asking in Texas, and we ought to be asking across the country.
I'll be right back, guys.
Is how can we improve the speed and rate of response that when an extreme weather warning goes out? In Texas, the National Weather Service put out one at just after 1 a.m. and another just after 4 a.m. But the problem is most people are asleep at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. So those little girls never heard the warning. And so There are discussions about all sorts of steps we can take, including setting up sirens and warning systems along the Guadalupe River Valley, which I think makes an awful lot of sense. But we ought to be asking what lessons can be learned and what can be done more effectively to protect human life. Now, this hearing, we have three very qualified nominees. We have Dr. Neil Jacobs, who is the nominee for Undersecretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere and NOAA Administrator. We have Mr. Taylor Jordan, the nominee for Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Environmental Observation and Prediction. And we have Mr. Harry Kumar, the nominee for Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs. I think each of them are highly qualified. I appreciate your willingness to serve, and I appreciate your commitment to protecting public safety. There's no mission that is more important, particularly concerning weather-related events, than early detection, knowing what is happening, and improving the ability to notify people in harm's way and get them out of the way. We know we're going to have other disasters going forward. There will be more floods, there will be more hurricanes, there will be more tornadoes. But every step we can take to remove someone from the path of that devastation is a step we need to take, and I appreciate each of your dedication to doing that. Ranking Member Cantwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as you mentioned, this hearing comes at an incredible time of human loss from the floods in Texas, and now we know in New Mexico and North Carolina. But I want to offer my condolences to the families who've lost loved ones in this unimaginable tragedy, and to the people of Texas. We grieve along with you as a nation. Our thoughts and prayers do go to the families, to ask for strength for them to deal with this incredible loss. And as you said, there is a time and a place to figure out what transpired. You know, for us in the Northwest, where natural disasters, whether it's fire, flooding, earthquakes, or the big one that is someday going to hit, this issue of first responders and communication is really important to us too. So I too want to thank the National Guard for their incredible work and response to this incident. I want to thank the Coast Guard men and women. Pretty sure we train those surfmen and out on the Olympic, Long Beach area of our state, and we're very proud of what they do to get those men and women ready to help do this search and rescue. But clearly, first responders did everything that they were asked to do in response to this flood. But as you said, Mr. Chairman, there will be others. So I agree that we should figure out what we can do in the future to improve our communication system, to improve the science behind the information, and to figure out how we best prepare for the future. Today, we're considering Dr. Jacobs to be the NOAA Administrator, Mr. Taylor to be the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Environmental Observation and Protection, and Mr. Kumar to be the Assistant Secretary. NOAA does play an incredible, important role in preserving life and property, and obviously good data behind your weather reporting for sustainable fisheries to get food on the table, to support our domestic product. You play a critical role in safety and economic competitiveness. And so obviously I'm going to ask today about the cuts to NOAA and how, as a science agency, you preserve the core mission of an agency when we're cutting so much of the science and the science budget. The budget eliminates the Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research R&D arm, which is critical to improving lead times and accuracy of information. NOAA's R&D is at the cutting edge of science and projects like Warn-On Forecast, which will give communities more notice about tornadoes and other severe weather events by using prediction models instead of waiting to detect weather service that is already occurring. The budget proposal also eliminates NOAA's Integrated Ocean Observing System program, the buoy system. This is a very bipartisan program that helps us, particularly in the Northwest, in detecting the potential of tsunamis, hurricane forecast, fisheries, marine transportation. And even though the administration put out an executive order calling for growing American fisheries, I believe that we are doing the opposite if we're not investing in the kind of stock assessments that we need to deal with fisheries management. So while the administration seeks to slash NOAA's budget, has also taken a sledgehammer to its workforce. Since the start of the year, NOAA's workforce has been gutted by 2,000 employees. The agency currently has over 3,000 vacant positions, most of which cannot be filled due to the hiring freeze. For example, Pendleton, Oregon, the forecast office serving Central Washington, no longer has 24/7 local coverage because of their 44% vacancy rate. And in my opinion, that is unacceptable in the height of fire season. The hiring freeze also resulted in 160 vacancies at NOAA's research ships, resulting in 30% of those ships being left at the docks this summer instead of charting navigation in the Arctic, serving key weather buoys and conducting stock assessments. So for Washington, 2 pollock stock assessment surveys and 1 salmon survey have already been canceled. Now, what this means is that people can't fish. We don't have the science. They can't fish. We don't know. We're putting billions of dollars of economic activity at risk. So the West Coast region of NOAA fisheries has lost so many staff that we no longer have key experts to negotiate salmon or other treaties, and entire permitting teams are gone, and local communities are begging for answers on these. So I expect to hear how we're going to defend the science mission without the people and without the science to help deliver those essential services. I want to know what our real plan is that we're going to continue to protect our environment. Mr. Jordan, if confirmed, you will be responsible for advising the administrator on weather, water, climate, and related matters. And I hope that you will tell us today how you also plan to counter cuts to the weather program and where you stand on the R&D investment that we need to improve forecasts, such as supercomputing forecasts. Climate change is driving more intense hurricanes, more frequent severe atmospheric rivers, rain events, and is doubling the number of wildfires. According to NOAA, since 1980, we've had on average 9 extreme weather events annually that have cost us over $1 billion each. So from 1980, 9 extreme events. But in the last 5 years, that has spiked to 23 events per year, and last year it was 27 events. So we can see that we're having more devastating impact and the cost to all of us. So we're in a state of emergency that's getting worse, and we need to come up with better solutions. So we know how to do this. In 2015, as firefighters were fighting a devastating wildfire in Okanagan County and wind patterns changed, resulting in the loss of firefighters, we implemented new tools to help with the training of a new system that would help us get better information and get that information faster. I should also note that today the OIG for the Department of Commerce Office of Inspector General released a report on our National Weather Service tornado forecasting system and the things that they believe the office has gotten wrong on in forecasting the shortcomings of that system and 6 plans for improvement. And so we'll probably ask you about that as well. So finally, Mr. Kumar, you'd be leading the Legislative Affairs Department. Simply put, the department's critical engagement with members of this committee is not happening at the level we need it to happen. So I expect you will help fundamentally change that if confirmed and make sure that as members ask for information and data from the agency that they will receive it in a timely manner. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, our hearts are with you, your colleague, Senator Cornyn, the many people of Texas, and we will work with you in whatever fashion we can to help move forward and to help Texans in any way, and obviously our colleagues here on the committee from New Mexico and our colleagues in the larger body from North Carolina. But thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I want to say thank you to all my colleagues who have reached out on both sides of the aisle. I think collectively hearts are breaking across the country at what played out over the 4th of July weekend. Dr. Jacobs, you're recognized for your opening statement.
Chairman Cruz, Ranking Member Cantwell, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today I'm honored to be nominated for the position of Undersecretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmospheres. I'd also like to thank President Trump and Secretary Lutnick for their trust and confidence in me with this nomination. If I have the honor of being confirmed, I look forward to working with all of you on the important work performed by NOAA. My heart goes out to those who lost loved ones in the devastating Texas floods. As a parent with 2 kids in summer camp right now, I can't imagine what these grieving families are going through. NOAA has an important, unique mission that spans the sea floor to the sun's surface. Not only do they conduct cutting-edge coastal and ocean research, but they also provide life-saving forecast predictions in a wide range of environmental phenomena. From 2018 to 2021, I served as Assistant Secretary for Environmental Observation and Prediction and later as Acting Undersecretary for Oceans and Atmospheres. During that time, I gained significant experience and understanding of NOAA's operations, and I developed a deep appreciation for the workforce. From issuing accurate forecasts to complex weather events, managing fish stocks, mapping our coast, launching satellites into space, their dedication and professionalism is unparalleled. I have a very detailed understanding of what's involved in managing NOAA, from the policy, budget, and personnel side to the needs and opportunities for innovative solutions to better meet mission requirements. I previously led the agency's effort to support scientific community through a focused improvement to its external engagement strategy. This culminated in the Earth Prediction and Innovation Center, which brings together scientific expertise from federal partners, world-class researchers, and the private sector. I also understand that to be successful, NOAA must embrace new partnerships. In 2019, under my leadership, NOAA unveiled the Big Data Project, now called NOAA Open Data Dissemination,
how you doing, bro?
where the public has greater access to all NOAA data through partnerships with cloud service providers. Running a large agency with a public service mandate of protecting life and property during a pandemic was not something anyone could have been prepared to do. Under my leadership, NOAA rapidly changed and adapted operational protocols and accelerated onboarding of new technology like virtual environments for daily meetings, autonomous vehicles for acoustic surveys. Despite the pandemic, NOAA successfully met its mission requirements, including saving countless lives during the 2020 hurricane season, which had 30 named storms, 11 U.S. landfalls, shattering a record that had stood for over 100 years. If confirmed, one of my top priorities is to return the United States to the world's leader in global weather forecast modeling capability. As a matter of public safety, national security, and national pride, we will restore American technological superiority with this vital service for the country and our military serving around the world. This will require embracing new technologies, novel approaches, and partnerships with industry to advance.
Thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. It's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. We're not happy with Putin. I'm not happy with Putin. I can tell you that much right now, because he's killing a lot of people. And a lot of them are his soldiers. His soldiers and their soldiers, mostly.
Putin is not
playing. He's 7,000 a week. And I'm not happy with Putin.
The drama.
In France, a wildfire that's reached the outskirts of its second largest city, Marseille, is under control, but still burning. Emergency crews, including dozens of firefighters and police officers, are battling the flames that have injured more than 100 people. 10 buildings have been destroyed, around 60 damaged. Hundreds of people were evacuated from their homes. Roads remain closed and flights and train services halted. Greece is also experiencing extreme heat, and it's hurting its economy. Heat waves have forced a temporary closure of tourist hotspots, and farmers are also suffering losses. John Zoropoulos reports from Megara.
People who had travelled from across the world to visit the Acropolis in Athens were locked out this week.
I just took a cab up here, and yeah, it's closed till from 1 to 5 because of the heat wave. I think they should let people in regardless, you know what I mean? They got water.
You think they should let people in at their own risk?
Yeah.
Service and for sharing their knowledge and passion with me during my previous tenure at NOAA. Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Cantwell, and members of the committee, thank you again for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Jacobs. Mr. Jordan, you're recognized for your opening statement.
Chairman Cruz, Ranking Member Cantwell, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am honored to be nominated for the position of Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Environmental Observation and Prediction by President Trump, and I also want to thank Secretary Lutnick for his support of my nomination. If I have the honor of being confirmed, I look forward to working with all of you on the important work performed by NOAA in the areas of observation, data, and forecasting. I would also like to thank and recognize my fiancée, Minsu Crowder-Hahn, and my family watching from Texas, my mother, Cindy Jordan, and her husband, Scott Wright, as well as my father, Gene Jordan, my brother, Chris Jordan, and his family. As a born and raised Texan, I have had a lifelong fascination with weather. I grew up in Longview in East Texas, which has seen its fair share of severe weather impacts: tornadoes, straight-line winds, hail, lightning strikes. As a kid, every time the sirens would go off for a potential tornado, my father would first go outside and look up at the sky, which might be a uniquely Texan behavior, but I would head to my parents' closet to take shelter. I'd also like to take a moment to mention the floods in Texas this past weekend. As a Texan, this hits close to home for me and is a tragic reminder that weather affects Americans every day. If confirmed, I will work closely with the Secretary of Commerce and the NOAA Administrator to ensure the National Weather Service continues to provide weather forecasts that keep Americans out of harm's way. Collectively, I've had the privilege of working on NOAA issues for the last 14 years, and I have worked on these issues from 3 distinct vantage points: in Congress, at NOAA, and in the private sector. After graduating from the University of North Texas, I was fortunate enough to have an internship in DC for the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology, where I first worked under Chairman Ralph Hall and then Chairman Lamar Smith. It was there on the committee where I learned about NOAA's mission and how their weather forecasting resulted in those sirens I always heard growing up. The forecast for those severe storms started with NOAA. I spent 7 years on the House Science Committee working on issues related to NOAA and other civil science agencies. I was the lead author for the Weather Research and Forecasting Innovation Act, also known as the Weather Act. That bill was the first major piece of weather-related legislation in decades and gave NOAA tools to help it better achieve its mission of protecting lives and property. Many of the Weather Act's authorizations are still relevant today, and if I'm honored to be confirmed, I look forward to working with this committee to reauthorize this important piece of legislation. I also had the privilege of serving as a senior policy advisor to the NOAA Administrator from 2018 to 2020. In this role, I oversaw implementation of the Weather Act and worked closely with NOAA's leadership and staff to provide accurate and timely weather forecasts. I also worked with NOAA line offices to help manage multi-billion-dollar programs and acquisitions across the agency. Since 2021, I have worked in the private sector to advocate for programs and policies that support NOAA's mission and create meaningful partnerships. I have worked with private companies that provide NOAA with valuable weather data, contractors that provide technical and expert support services, scientists that contribute cutting-edge knowledge to our understanding of the Earth, and many others that support NOAA in various ways. Thanks to these experiences, I have developed a deep appreciation for NOAA's mission and its life-saving information. NOAA operates in every state, forecasts for every location, and provides important and unique information across the country every day. NOAA achieves this through extensive observing networks and infrastructure, dedicated scientists and forecasters, and public-private partnerships. NOAA relies on expertise from our robust American science and technology ecosystem, from private companies, contractors, academia and universities, nonprofits, state, local, and tribal partners. If confirmed, it would be a tremendous honor to help lead such a distinguished organization of scientists, engineers, forecasters, and uniformed officers. I will work closely with members of this committee to ensure NOAA continues to provide accurate and timely weather forecasting to protect lives and property and safeguard the national economy. Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Cantwell, and members of the committee, thank you again for the opportunity to appear before you. I'd be pleased to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Mr. Kumar.
Chairman Cruz, Ranking Member Cantwell, and distinguished members of the Senate Commerce Committee. I'm honored to appear before you today as the nominee to serve as Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs. I'm deeply grateful to President Trump for my nomination, to Secretary Lutnick for his leadership of the department, and to this committee for its consideration of my nomination. Before I begin, I want to express my deepest gratitude to those joining me here today, including my parents, Doctors Nat and Sakhu Kumar, whose unwavering support and example have profoundly shaped my commitment to public service. And my better half, Allie, whose love, encouragement, and support have been my foundation throughout this journey. I'm a native Texan who grew up in the southeast Texas town of Beaumont. I was fortunate to be raised in a community that taught me the value of hard work, determination, and service, and am grateful to have the support of countless family and friends who have helped shape my journey to this point. My heart remains with my home state and to all those affected in the wake of last weekend's tragic events. I come before you filled with both humility and a strong sense of purpose. I believe my accumulated experience, including my prior work in legislative affairs at the Department of Commerce during President Trump's first term and as a staffer in this body, will serve me well in faithfully executing the responsibilities of the Assistant Secretary position. In previous roles across both the legislative and executive branches, I have worked to build bipartisan consensus, navigate complex environments, and strengthen the relationship between government and the communities it serves. If confirmed, I will bring that same approach to the Assistant Secretary role, grounded in transparency, responsiveness, and collaboration. The Office of Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs plays a vital role in connecting the department's work with Congress, state and local governments, and tribal partners. If confirmed, I will focus on 3 key priorities. Number 1, timely responsiveness, prioritizing clear, proactive communication with members of Congress and their staff. Number 2, intergovernmental partnership, deepening coordination with governors, mayors, and tribal leaders to ensure that the opportunities and challenges facing communities are understood by the Commerce Department.
Okay.
And number 3, bipartisan collaboration, working across the aisle to achieve the goals shared by all Americans, such as economic growth, revitalizing U.S. manufacturing, and protecting American innovation. Across the department's diverse mission, from supporting U.S. exporters and small businesses to safeguarding critical supply chains in our domestic seafood industry. Success depends on strong relationships.
Wait, let me put this on
I believe that effective public policy is built through engagement, trust.
You're absolutely right. I opened up the live talking about that list. First, they told us it was a list. The lady said, Bondi said the list was on her desk and that they were going to release the list. Now, all of a sudden, there is no list. All it is, now they're saying it's just videos of kids, you know, with the situation, and that's it. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to show it. It's over with. Stop talking about it. It's over with. So, yes. Yeah, they hate competition, and everybody and their mama is probably on their list, guys. I mean, everybody is on the list. So, that's messed up how they did us, bro. And then he's going to say, we're still talking about Epstein. Bro, you the one said that you was going to release the list. They the one said it was a list. You tell the people you're going to release the list, you're going to release it, release the list. We know it's a list because the lady said the list was on her desk. But, you know, they try to word it a certain type of way and try to change the words and try to play on us like we dumb and stupid don't know anything. She tried to switch the words around. Bondi did. You said you had the list on your desk. It's bad business, man.
However, I did want to share this live look with you as we did want to transition to this live event. You can see Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth as he is getting ready to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This is the procession happening. Let's listen in. And that is the conclusion to the ceremonial service right there, as Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth greeted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu alongside his.
What's up, Napoleon? How you doing, bro?
To discuss a number of issues, including the U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal between Israel and Hamas. He had met with President Trump several times already, also meeting with leaders on.
Let me get to some of these comments. Sanmine, I agree. Greg, Trump 2028 to deport all anti-Americans. If you fail to vote for Trump, you will be deported. Trump for criminals. Fox 63. Sanmine, traitors to America. So fakey, Larry. Zionist. Mystic, Larry, Wheat, Larry, criminals, Sandman, men with TDS, bro, Mystic, a new world order, Larry, criminals, all of them, Sandman, all Trump haters suck, Mystic, Protocol of Zion, Napoleon, salute Napoleon, Jonathan Davis, appreciate you. And we'll see. Appreciate y'all for joining me, man. I'm your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. And we all over the place today. Yeah, we all over the place. So let's see what's going on next. Hope y'all having a great day. I'm definitely having a great day. Appreciate y'all for joining me.
तो आए साथ आए जाते ना आर्टिस्ट आए जन आर कुंटे जन बाला आर्टिस्ट
See what's
बनी
going on
आर
over
दायित्व
here
ले सिरी
now.
आर कुसुन सात जन कहने आर्टिस्ट बने फिर आई इधर आर्टिस्ट बनाई आर लाइफ स्टाइल रखे ना दायित्व परी आर कल्चर रखे ना दायित्व परी आर ड्रीम रे दायित्व परी एन्ना नल आर मकसद जन आर्टिस्ट बनना.
We join Anwar in his own shelter. Here, he works on his own pieces. Each, he says, a reflection of everything that exile
Malcolm X wonders.
Yanol de pendi yanol de kan go dream birthday zeta 2017
Release the files.
I Bangladeshi ibo go shantor bose jafu.
They're not going to release the files, bro. That's not happening. They told us that yesterday. They're not releasing the files. Matter of fact, they say they're not talking about it no more. Don't worry. They will. Don't worry. They will prepare a nice place for you. They're saying they're not releasing the files at all. That's what they said. Matter of fact, they want us to quit talking about Epstein now. That's what they said yesterday. They want us to stop talking about the files now. As I remember, they the one told us they were going to release the files. Y'all remember that, guys? Trump said he was going to release the files. That lady said the files were on her desk. They told us that. Remember, guys? They will. Well, according to how they was acting yesterday, they're not going to speak on it no more. Matter of fact, I'm about to do this. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me go back to it. I'm going to replay it. Subscribe. Thank you for subscribing, Sam, man. I'm going to replay it, guys. Let me find it.
Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the death?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
See?
Whether
y'all heard that? They're not gonna talk about it no more. They're not gonna talk about it no more. It's over with. 1999, hard pass, lies, BS, minutes missing, pedo, liar, pedo alert, exorcism. Why do you talk in all caps like this? I can tell you about 50 years old. Nothing wrong with being 50 years old, bro. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Exorcism, you say, I can tell you 50 years old, like there's something bad about being 50 or older. A lot of people don't even live to be 50 years old, bro. It's a blessing to be 50 years old. It's a blessing to be 60. It's a blessing to be 70. It's a blessing to live to be 80. I got a lot of partners and friends that make it to be 20, that make it to be 25, that make it to be 30. Bro, it's a blessing to be 50 years old. We got to start realizing that, bro. If you care about life, if you care about family, if you care about your legacy, if you care about your legacy, guess what, guys? It's a blessing to be 50. Right? So what if Sandman is 50? So what? What does it matter? It's a blessing to be 50. It's a blessing to be 60. It's a blessing to live to be 70. We got to start understanding that, bro. We got to start understanding that, especially in 2025. A lot of people ain't living to see their grandkids and their great grandkids and their great nieces and their great nephews. A lot of people ain't living to see the blessing of being retired. Come on now. That's what I can't stand, bro. I can't stand when people start acting like being older like it's some kind of bad thing. Bro, it's a lot of people that's young that can't do the things that a 50-year-old do. I'm 50. It's a lot of people that can't go out and run 6 miles a day in 100-degree heat. So, I mean, you got to think about things. It's like people don't want to live anymore. It's crazy to me, bro. It's crazy. 53 next month and still outperforming the young. Right, there you go. The last youngster, right, that called me out, which was my cousin. Guess what I did? I took him to the basketball court and schooled him. Schooled him. You think being 50 and 60 is like it's a curse? Okay, show me what you can do. Whatever you want to challenge me at, let's get it. He picked basketball, and guess what? I ran him all over the court. See, another thing about getting older, you got a lot of wisdom. You got a lot of knowledge. You got a lot of things you can teach a younger person. There's so many younger people, bro, that don't even want to listen to what somebody that's 50, 60, 70 years old, even 40, have to say. Some of them don't even want to listen, which is crazy to me. Yes, as being a younger person, the younger kids, the younger guys and the younger girls are super smart, right? They're very smart, but they don't have the wisdom and the knowledge. That comes with age. What I love to see, somebody that's young, that's really, really, really smart, but are quick to listen to older people, to the right older people. Not just any unk or any old head, but the right unk and the right old head. See, that's another thing, younger guys. Y'all are super smart, and younger females, you're super smart. But one of the best skills to have is to be able to listen to the right older guys and older ladies. You can learn a lot. They lack communication sense, but they're very, very smart. But they have this persona of like being older is like a bad thing, bro. Being old is a great thing. It's great. It's great to be able to turn 50, turn 60, turn 70, live your life the right way, earn, spend less, make a proper investments, and then have something to pass down to your kids and grandkids. It's a great thing, bro. Right, Napoleon? Right. It's that what gets me, bro. That's what I don't like that. My cousin did me like that. And I had to challenge him. If that's what you think, what you want to do? Show me I'm old. And guess what? He picked basketball and I put it on him like never before. Now I haven't even heard from him no more. See, that's Free Diddy. That comment shows how lost that guy is. Right, Napoleon? They lack common sense. Right, Ryan? 50, yes. Hold on a second, guys. All right, I'm back. Ain't nothing wrong with nobody typing in all caps. You know, he want his comment to be read, bro. That don't mean that he's 50. That don't mean anything. In my opinion, if you write in all caps, that means that you want your comment to be seen, bro. That's all it means. That's all it means. That he want his comment to be read. That's all it means. All right, let's get back over here and see what's going on. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I am your host, the one and only Stock Sniper. And yes, I'm an UNC. And I'm proud of it.
And the legacy they refuse to lose. They paint what they've seen. They film what the world has refused to witness. And
I used to call myself OG, but they say, you know, somebody told me you got to be over 55 to be considered an OG. They told me that I'm not an OG, that I'm an UNC. So I'm an UNC until I get over 55. And that's another 5 years. Ryan, young ones pick a side and want to be justice warriors instead of staying in the middle and picking what's best for you. They live like sheeple instead of finding their own way.
Through centuries of expulsion and persecution, an ideology.
I think that a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them don't want to listen to older guys. They're it's like they think that what older guys say like it's outdated. They feel to understand that life goes in circles, bro. The things that y'all doing right now, older people have already done. Like my grandpa used to always, and my grandma and my daddy used to tell me when I thought that I was getting away with certain things, they would actually call me out and be like, that what you doing, boy? Already did that before. See, a lot of people don't realize that what goes around comes back around, bro, when it comes to life. A lot of things that these older people have done that we do, they've already done it. And we think that we, be smarter than the older people, right? But the thing is, they already did it. We just got here. They've been here. You know? And that's how it works. And a lot of youngsters miss that part of the game. That's why they think the things that they're doing right now, like nobody ever did it before. But they don't realize that the things they're doing, they're saying that what we do is outdated, but they don't understand. They're doing the same things that we did. It's just on a bigger scale these days. It's the only difference, that more younger guys and girls are doing what older people, they're doing the same things. It's just more people doing it.
Israeli airstrikes intensify in northern Gaza, hitting a historic market and other civilian areas. More than 160 people are still missing in Texas,
Napoleon.
Days after flash floods devastated
Napoleon,
communities.
I gotta give you a wrench, bro, because I gotta know when you come in here, bro. I gotta know when you come in.
I'm Nicholas Hawk in Senegal.
I gotta know when you get in here,
As 5
Napoleon.
West African leaders meet Donald Trump, I'll tell you why the conversation won't be just about
I gotta know when you come in, bro.
and security, but also basketball.
Some people that come in, I want to be able to see
Bull Formula One
when
team
their
has sacked their
names
team
come in,
principal
because
Christian
it'll turn
Horner.
up in blue.
It
I
brings
gotta
an end
see
to 20 years at the helm
certain people that
in a
come
period
in.
that saw him win 8 drivers' world titles and 6 constructors' championships.
I gotta see it.
Welcome to the NewsHour. Israeli forces and American contractors have now killed more than 770 Palestinians at food distribution sites run by the notorious Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The latest attack has killed at least 8 people in southern Gaza. A large number of casualties have been taken to the Nasser hospital. The UN calls the sites death traps after repeated attacks on Palestinians waiting to collect food parcels. Meanwhile, Palestinians are being forced to move south in search of food after the only GHF food distribution in central Gaza was closed. The foundation has also shut another site in Khan Yunis. So that means there's only one site still operating for more than 2 million starving Palestinians. Let's take a look at the locations of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's
that's what the old folks used to say back in the day.
So there's only one site in central Gaza.
You ain't doing nothing.
That's near the Netzarim corridor. It's now been closed.
That I haven't seen.
No
trying
humanitarian
to be slick,
supplies are ever delivered north of that point.
And they was right.
The latest attack happened near one of the other 3 GHF sites at Rafah in the south. These 8 points are in areas where the Israeli military has issued Palestinians with forced evacuation orders. Hani Mahmoud joining us now from Gaza City to discuss this. So, Hani, GHF sites, as we're saying, are closing, forcing people to move. Tell us about the latest food situation and what you're hearing about incidents that take place at these sites.
Well, Doreen, today happened to be a particularly difficult day at all levels in terms of food situations. Humanitarian level is beyond catastrophic. Not only there is no food supplies here, whatever available is just a trickle amount. It's not available to meet the greater demands created by these months of devastation and destruction, the enforced dehydration and starvation, the famine that has already spread across the northern part of the strip. And here we see it quite visible in displacement site. But to add insult to the injury, these distribution centers managed and operated by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, not only they have been largely insufficient, and whatever they provided to people, just only a trickle amount that is dangerously lacking in nutritious elements, not enough for people. When you say,
yeah, I think I'm ending right here, guys. I appreciate y'all for joining me. I appreciate everybody for commenting, giving your 2 cents. You can come over here, you know, and you can let us know how you feel. You can come over here and speak your mind. But right now, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna try to do more often is acknowledge the top commenters, and I'm gonna do that right now. The number 1 top commenter, Jonathan Davis, first place. Number 2 top commenter, Larry Duncan, second place. Third place, Ed Hawaii. That's the top 3 on the leaderboard making comments. I appreciate y'all for coming and rocking with me. Everybody that comes rock with me, everybody that's been subscribing to the channel, I really, really, really appreciate y'all. To the next one, I will go live again later, of course, with the walk down. If you don't know, I run 6 miles a day. And then I walk another 2. When I walk the 2 miles, I do a show called The Walk Down. We're in episode 2 right now. Episode 2, season 2, episode, I think today is 15. Altogether, it's like 65 episodes. So we've been rocking and rolling with The Walk Down. Yesterday it rained. I hope it don't rain today. I don't want to get wet today. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Hope y'all have a great day. Hope y'all have a great day. To the next one, it's the one and only Stock Sniper. I love and I appreciate y'all. I'm out.